Let's talk about Antonio Brown for a moment. So Antonio Brown, who has a lifelong criminal record, by the way, and can't put two sentences together. He's probably one of the dumbest athletes or former athletes you will ever hear. Decided to campaign for Donald Trump. Again, this guy is illiterate. He's worse at reading than Floyd Mayweather, and that's pretty bad. Antonio Brown, the illiterate moron that he is, spoke at a Donald Trump rally. And have a listen to this incoherent criminal jackass speaking on behalf of the former president.
But before I get too deep in my speech, I want to say, I know the media is going to call me crazy, me and Trump crazy for having me speaking here. But I want to make this clear. We are not. They are. Let's go. Let's go. You know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, do you really know they want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom? Is that crazy? That's really insane, right? And by the way, tampon Tim Walz, he isn't a real football coach. He could never guard me. Guys, how is business? Booming. Business will be booming going against Tim Walz. Tampon Tim Walz. It'd be really booming going against him.
Guy can't even talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Herschel Walker 2.0. Does Antonio Brown have a brain injury? I don't know. The guy can't even talk. First of all, I don't even know what to say, except for starters, Kamala Harris had nothing to do with tampons in boys' bathrooms. Number two, in not one school in the entire state of Minnesota are tampons in boys' bathrooms. Number three, and by the way, it's Tim Walz. It's not Tim Walsh, you frickin' moron. Antonio Brown, AB, you dumb idiot. It's Tim Walz. Why don't you pronounce some names right, you idiot? Number three, all Tim Walz did is left it up to the schools to decide. That's all he did. And none of the schools implemented it. And what if they did? Antonio Brown, who's had women accuse him of sexually assaulting them. He was convicted on robbery charges and assault. This guy's a lifelong criminal. Why is it all these lifelong criminals seem to support Donald Trump? I do find that interesting as well, especially Herschel Walker 2.0. That's who this guy is. Why are people so obsessed with this? Somebody wrote him this speech because Antonio Brown literally has no idea what he's talking about. He's reading it. The guy can't even read. He's got first grade reading skills. In fact, that's insulting to a first grader. The guy can't even read. You illiterate bum, you embarrassment to this country. He can't even read. And he's up there. I guarantee you a week ago, he didn't even know who Tim Walz is. Tim Walsh, as he says. He didn't even know who Tim Walz was. He can't name you one policy on either side because he's a dummy. But yet he gets there on a stage and like they're so desperate, whether it be Hulk Hogan, the racist, or Dana White, the wife beater, Kid Rock. I mean, they have these trashy people up there, and Antonio Brown is nothing but trash. He is a trash individual. He's ignorant. He can't even read the speech that somebody wrote for him. And the only thing of substance, and I wouldn't even say it's of substance, is he wants to attack Tim Walz, or Walsh, as he says, for implementing tampons in boys' bathrooms. First of all, not one school implemented it. And second of all, why is that such a bad thing? So if you have a situation, and by the way, Tim Walz has talked about this, where you have a 12 or 13-year-old girl, and I'm sorry to be graphic here, but I'm going to do it just to make my point, who has her first period, okay? And she's embarrassed. And I think we all could empathize with her. And maybe she has a young boy, a teenage boy in school that she is very close to, and she asked that boy to get her a tampon, let's just say in the boys' restroom, because she's embarrassed to go to the nurse's office. Why is that such a bad thing? Why? Why is that a negative? Tim Walz has talked about this. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. However, Tim Walz said, let's leave it up to the schools. Unlike some of these other politicians who say, we need the 10 commandments in our school. Why don't you just put a big picture of Cheeto Jesus in every classroom and pray to Cheeto Jesus? Because for these right-wing evangelicals, if they had it their way, they'd rather have it like that. Listen, we all know Antonio Brown is an ignoramus. That's Donald Trump's base. We know that. Most people in this country that are educated, most people in this country that are informed, will not be voting for Donald Trump, including Republicans, by the way. Many of them will not be voting for Donald Trump. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have no idea what's going to happen in a couple weeks. I really don't. Right now, I think it's a coin flip. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm worried. I think it's a coin flip. I don't know what's going to happen. Here's what I do know. If Donald Trump wins, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm still going to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm not going to cry my way to the radio station, and I'm still going to live my life. I'll be just fine, but I will be very disappointed. If Kamala Harris wins, I'll be full of joy. I'll be very happy. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't change my life, but I will be very disappointed. I'm not going to sit here and lie to all of you. And I'm also not going to sit here and say that Kamala Harris is going to win in a landslide, because I don't think that's going to happen. I don't care what the polls say. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that this race is going to be very close until the end. We have to do our job. You have to vote. You have to get the word out.